Testing, testing. Testing. Welcome to American History with Alexander and Scotty.
Yay!
How are you today?
I'm good.
Great. What are we talking about today? Liberty's Kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see episode 3 today.
First Continental Congress. This
Big-
is what the first episode is going to be.
Exactly, the First Continental Congress. So we are basically dealing in 1774 right now. The Boston Tea Party was in December of 73, so right before Christmas time, like 10 days before Christmas. So they all had a great time. But then the Intolerable Acts come down onto Boston and the other colonies. So the Intolerable Acts, the Coercive Acts, even to give it a worse name, they basically started to percolate throughout Boston there in 74. So much so that in June of 74, way down south in the House of Burgesses of Virginia, which is the largest colony by far, it's like 1/5 of the whole landmass is Virginia, they decide to have a day of fasting, humiliation, and prayer.
I do not pray.
But nonetheless, they decided to do that to basically with solidarity with their brothers and sisters up in Boston. So that was really the first unifying act that really started to bring us together. And as we're going to basically start to see throughout the episode, that whole concept of being a Virginian and then becoming American, this is starting right now in 1774, well, 2 years before we declare our independence in July of 76. So it's pretty cool to see this evolution happening. Yeah, the evolution of basically us becoming a country from former colonies. Are you patriotic? Would you consider yourself to be a patriotic person?
Yes.
Yes, you are. To you, what is patriotism? What is being patriotic? What does that mean?
Patriotic to me?
Yes, to you.
To me, like being like a different person, but then like not normal, but not like that act, but not that act. But
Patriotic act? No, I didn't catch much of name something that you might do as being a patriotic person, a person who loves their country. Patriotism.
United States of America.
Yeah. Do you ever pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America?
I did that in kindergarten.
There you go. So that's a patriotic act. And that's a person who loves his or her country and strongly supports it.
Yeah.
How about a Tory? A Tory actually is kind of funny. It's someone who believes in Parliament and trusts Parliament and basically is loyal to Parliament. But the name actually goes back 100 years prior to old Irish, and it means a robber, like a thief or an outlaw. Yeah, or someone who is basically on the lam, on being an outlaw. That's what a Tory means. So basically, and then they kind of, there's a whole thing happening in the 1680s about that. But nonetheless, that's what a Tory is. Someone who supports the British Parliament. Do you have a pseudonym? Do you know what a pseudonym is?
I have a singular.
Let me give you the nickname for a pseudonym, which is Pen Pal. Pen Pal, or not Pen Pal.
Pen Pal?
No, not Pen Pal. Pen name. Nom de plume. Pen name. Do you go by another name at sometimes when you do something, maybe online whilst playing games in Minecraft or something?
Yeah, because we're gonna do that after this live stream.
Yes. What name do you go by then?
Sir Gamalex.
Nice, Sir Gamalex. So that is your pseudonym.
Yeah.
Sir Gamalex is your pseudonym.
I forgot what to say anyway.
Your other name.
I know.
A name that you write under.
I know that, but I just forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah, it happens. And how about treason? When you try to overthrow your government, you are committing treason. Unless you win. And then you're basically starting a new country. So, quick question for you. What do you know about the First Continental Congress?
Continent.
Oh, right. You're just using the words that are in it, yeah? It's all the representatives from the continent.
From the Boston Tea Party.
On the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, it all sprung out from there.
Yeah.
Was this the first time they got together?
Yes.
Yes, it's First Continental Congress. And a Congress is really where you get together to vote on things. We'll keep it real simple for that. It's a meeting.
I'm the judge.
Or are you doing voting?
I'm the judge.
Oh, we didn't get that far yet. The judiciary? At this point, there were no judges because, well, major crimes, if you were, charged with the major crime, you're sent back to England because they deemed some of the courts in the colonies, especially up in Boston, they deemed them to be unfair. Even after John Adams got the British soldiers acquitted of the charge of attempted murder and murder during the Boston Massacre. Do you remember the Boston Massacre? Yeah. Where did the Boston Massacre happen?
Boston.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And what do you want to learn about the First Continental Congress? Write that down. What would you like to learn? This is your KWL sections. What do you want to learn about today's episode? I need more than that. A nice retort, but again, something less repetitious. Okay, technically you are less repetitious. So let me guess that you just really want to know all about the First Continental Congress. Isn't that it? You just want to know everything about it. That's really it, right? Right? Okay.
That's funny that I'm like,
I'm glad that you got that out of your system. Yeah, you've been holding that back all weekend. So, yeah, I'm glad that finally happened. So let's get on to the episode. We're going to place down a countdown timer for you, just so you can watch along with us without actually watching along with us. And we are live, so please, if you have not checked out our chats, this is the live tutoring session all throughout. We accept your questions. We'll feed them on into our commentary as we continue. And please, if you have not already gone through the paperwork, please do so. Write down what you want to know. And later on, we will fill in what you have learned, as well as the 10 questions. Any parting words? What do you think about the episode?
That was a great one.
That was a great one, right? Yeah. I was and some amazing people that you probably have never heard of were giving the voices. You know who Billy Crystal is?
No.
Didn't think so. Annette Bening? No. Michael Douglas? No. But still, they were in there. It's pretty cool. I like the quality names behind them. Oh, and did you catch
What?
John Adams giving fake news?
Oh, yes.
Wasn't that weird? He was talking with his cousin Sam and saying, maybe I'll tell them they're firing cannons or they're aiming cannons at steeples, church steeples. And Sam, of all people, was like, no. You're getting pretty extreme there. Don't go and do that. It's firing up the, people's core beliefs. And no. Stop that. And then what does John Adams do when he gets to the First Continental Congress?
He says that they're trying to aim it at the church.
Yeah. And then it said they fired at the church and they blew up steeples and people died. He didn't notice the other guy in the room writing it all down. Yeah, John, we know you said it. We know it. You gave us fake news, John Adams. You gave us fake news. Thank you to his wife for being honest. Like, no, they didn't blow up any church steeples. Don't know what you're talking about. That all basically happens about a year later. It's near Boston. It's Lexington and Concord. And that is in April. And that's when that really takes place, where we are really firing at each other. We're going to go through the questions right now. What is the date of this episode?
We don't have a clue.
Right. This is all basically 1774 that this is happening. They're suffering through the intolerable acts, through all of 74. And finally, they're getting together at the Continental Congress in September. Really nice time of year to go to Philadelphia by. It's really nice. And then they got out once the leaves fell in October. They're like, no, we're done. Got to go home. Getting cold outside. The colonists have sent a representative to Pennsylvania to attend what? Why did they go there again? What meeting? You told me 3 times already today. That's it. You got it right. Please. You got a bell right. Ding ding. You got it right.
When I get it right, I'm ringing the bell.
I like it. Who are Sarah and Henri delivering the pamphlets to?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania is where they left from. They left from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
To Boston.
Went to Boston, yes. And John Adams's wife, what is her name? Remember her name?
No.
Abigail. Abigail.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. There's not too many Abigails around now. If you're an Abigail, then please give us a shout out in the comments. Let us know that there are still Abigails out there. That's when she actually said that Boston is not being fired upon. But Sarah swore on the health of the king that she did not have any pamphlets, but she was delivering pamphlets. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I don't know if she kind of gave that little, I swear in the health of the king, basically saying, I really don't care if the king dies because I'm no longer a monarchist. But she is. She's a British subject. She's playing that role of it all, being loyal to the king. So maybe they took the pamphlets out of the cart already and I didn't notice it. Something like that. Now, before Parliament closed Boston Harbor, the colonies all thought of themselves as separate colonies. What do they think now? What is the one word that we are uniting under? A new country called? Can you translate that?
United States of America.
Thank you. Now, John Adams, fake news, wrote the pamphlet under a pseudonym. What is a pseudonym?
My pseudonym name is Sir Gamalek.
Sir, and why do you use a pseudonym?
It's because...
Sit up, please. Sit up.
Oh, no.
Well, we did it more for security.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it helps, and the reason why they did it back then, too.
Yeah, I think it helps for my Gmail account, too.
Exactly, yeah. You don't want to give too much information, then hackers start doing their thing. And basically, John Adams is not too much worried about that, but he was worried about being prejudged. He was worried that the stuff that he writes, that they'll be like, oh, Adams, that's the guy who defended those soldiers that got off after killing our men. I'm not going to read that. So they didn't want prejudgment. He basically said the words are the most important thing. Read the words, read the arguments, understand what it is. Believe me, even when I'm giving you fake news, steeples are being blown off by cannonballs in Boston as we speak. Yeah, I'm not going to let that go. John Adams, you let me down, John. You let me down. That's why you only got one term in the presidency, by the way. Yeah, and probably why Alexander Hamilton really didn't take a fancy to you. Probably because of you and your fake news. Oh, and then you go on and create the Alien and Sedition Acts later on, basically punishing people for, dare I say it, fake news. Huh. Okay, more on him later on. We'll have fun with that. What was the original purpose of the First Continental Congress? Why did they get together?
The Boston Tea Party.
Boston Tea Party, exactly. Yeah, we wanted to make up with Great Britain. We basically said, hey, yeah, things gotten kind of hot. Can we take it down a notch? Let's get together and talk about this and try to, soothe things over. That's the original purpose for it all.
Hand of cup.
There you go, hand of cup.
Oh, shit, fell out.
Now, when James was explaining what happened at the First Continental Congress, he said that there were two main groups of people. One group wanted Parliament to do something, really to take back the Intolerable Acts, to repeal the Intolerable Acts, and because that's really what the Parliament has done for every single act that they gave us. The Stamp Act, the Sugar Acts, the Townsend Acts. Basically, we rebelled, and then they repealed it. So we wanted them to repeal the coercive or intolerable acts. And the other part basically wanted just like, hey, we're loyal royal subjects. Can we really stop all this? Help us out, work with us. But the whole real problem, going back to the very beginning, the original sin was that Parliament never taxed us in the history of the colony of Virginia from 1607 up until 1765. They never taxed us. We taxed ourselves, and we took care of ourselves. And so if they can tax us without us having a member in Parliament over in London, which is something guaranteed to us under the British Constitution, so our rights were not being upheld by our government. This is the real original reason why we rebelled. What's that? What? Shirt? Bell?
No.
What?
Rebel. I'm repeating you.
Ah, you're rebelled? Okay, it's young Latin scholar here. He's repeating what I'm saying. Thank you. Now, who won the debate at the First Continental Congress?
Yeah, no, we don't have a question.
The moderates. They won, if someone can won. But I think the more radicals won because there was a second Continental Congress.
What?
And so if the moderates won, there really wouldn't have been a second. But then again, the second came because church bells were being blown open. Well, lanterns were being hung out in church spires before houses were being blown open over in Lexington and Concord. Quick question for you. As we go through our some of our discussion questions, what did you learn in this episode? Yeah, something new that you just got after watching this, besides John Adams' fake news. What else did you learn?
I didn't know that, like, that type of girl, like, at the angle where, like, they stop their carriages. Yeah, I did.
Didn't know about that. Okay. Oh, have you ever heard of tar and feathering before?
No.
No? What do you think about tar and feathering?
I think it's the worst thing ever because it can kill you.
It's the worst thing ever because it can kill you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The cartoon does a nice, fair representation of basically saying, yes, this is life threatening. But the original reason for going after this man was not really appropriate. Tar and feathering has its origins in basically doing something to a member of your society to let them know that they are no longer welcome in your society. It's really to kick someone out. It's to basically make and you've told them this already, probably. You've let them know, like, hey, we don't like you. And then you get to the point when you tar and feather someone, basically you have taken their dignity down so far that they should feel in their core that they no longer want to be around you because they feel so bad for what happened to them. You know, basically, for those that can't take a hint. That sailor was just basically wrong place, wrong time. So that's not really an appropriate use of the historical use of tar and feathering. It's more done for what I explained it. So that's tar and feathering. I'm glad that fell by the wayside. We don't do that anymore. We already covered why do you think people write with a pseudonym? And then if you, the last question, if you were at the First Continental Congress, what would you have said or asked?
I would say just don't tax us again. We're taxing.
Nice. Okay, so you're in the moderate camp. Really just tell Parliament, hey, just stop taxing us and we can go back to the way it was before you started all this hoopla in 65.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. So please sit up. We have a question. Who were the moderates? Good question. So it's almost basically a diagram of the United States where the extremities of it are where some of the more extreme people are. So of course you have Sam Adams and Sam Adams and John Adams up in Massachusetts, and then you have Patrick Henry down in Virginia. These are the more extreme elements, and then the moderates are really in the middle, metaphorically and physically, in Philadelphia, as well as New York. With Dwayne and Jay there. So New York is actually split 50-50 when it comes to the moderate and extremities, but we won't get into New York right now. It's not their day to shine. But interestingly enough, the moderates are in the middle of the country. Oh, and that's it for our questions.
Bye.
So, yeah, I guess you're keen to get out of here, right?
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, okay.
Bye.
Well,
The green screen.
there you go. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. We'll do this again soon.
Bye. Was that too close? Is that too close?
Yes, it was.
Oh.